So many people want to try to mold what they envision for your life upon your life. And oftentimes, it's not what you have envisioned for yourself. But what's even more confusing is that sometimes you don't even have a full understanding of what that vision that you have for yourself is. But one thing we all know for sure is that we want to be happy. So what we're going to do today is I'm going to break down just one of the various aspects that goes into feeling a sense of fulfillment and bringing about a sense of happiness in one's life. And then what I'm going to do is talk about an action plan that you can take that will help you develop the mindset to be able to experience more happiness more often. So firstly, let's talk about what's even going on in our bodies when we experience joy. According to medicinenet.com, there are these chemicals in our brains called endorphins. And these are also known as, by some people, as like the happy chemical. And what they do is they allow us to experience joy, allow us to experience pleasure. So what they do is they transmit electrical signals from our brain to our nervous system. And there are a number of things that trigger this. Two of the main ones are stress and pain. And for our purposes, we're going to look at stress as a challenge. So two common physical things that you may have experienced the release of endorphins in is laughter and physical exercise. So I wanted to set that up before I go into everything else. So everybody keep that in mind, because we're going to come back to that later. So there's a quote by Agnes Repplier. And in that quote, she says, "It's not easy to find happiness in ourselves, and it's not possible to find it elsewhere." I want to say that again. It's not easy to find happiness in ourselves, and it's not possible to find it elsewhere. So I'm reading a book called The Happiness Project by Gretchen Rubin. And in that book, she talks about extrinsic motivation versus intrinsic motivation. With extrinsic motivation, people act out of their desires to gain external rewards or to avoid external punishment. And with intrinsic motivation, people act out of their desire for their own satisfaction. So let's look at what we have so far. We know that endorphins are released in our body when we are succumb to some sort of pressure, some sort of stress. We also know that we can't find happiness in someone else or in something else. It has to be found within ourselves, meaning that we're going to have to be intrinsically motivated to find our happiness. So let's not just take a lot of words at face value. Let's actually look at a tested system that I use to help me manufacture a challenge and feel a sense of accomplishment. Because based on all of what we have learned so far, I can deduce that happiness, at least one aspect of it, comes from overcoming challenges, comes from the feeling of progressing. So there's a challenge that I created for myself called a 7-day challenge. And the 7-day challenge works like this. You pick one activity that is going to be something that can be repeated for 7 days straight. Now, it has to be challenging. It has to be so challenging, in fact, that at some point during the challenge, failure looks very attractive to you. But at the same time, it has to be able to be accomplished. So while, yes, it's hard, and you might not want to, especially like day 4, day 5, you might not want to do it anymore, it's still possible to get it done. So I'll use a concrete example. This can be used in many different things. Finances, you can use it in relating with other people. I use it in fitness because that's something that I have a lot of passion for. So there's a routine that I do called a 5-minute drill. A 5-minute drill is basically 50 pull-ups, 100 push-ups within 5 minutes. As you can imagine, that's tough to do every day for 7 days. But I've been in the fitness game for a while, so it's possible. And one of the things that I've witnessed that I learned is that the feeling of accomplishment that I get from grinding it out every day, not making excuses, being an action taker, it's amazing. The feeling is awesome. So what I'm talking about here, we're talking about authentic happiness. We're not talking about comfort. Because comfort is settling. See, if this was school, then you would get a C. It would be an average grade. Mm-hmm. So in order to experience true happiness, you have to be willing to go outside of your comfort zone. So I'm going to leave you with a quote from Robert Greene in an awesome book called Mastery. And what he says is, you must let go of your need for comfort and security. Creative endeavors are by their very nature uncertain. If you need everything in your life to be simple and safe, this open-minded nature of the task will fill you with anxiety. So, in conclusion, what I want to say is challenge yourself. You'll be happier.
Challenge yourself, you'll be happier. I really like that.